Hey there, Chelsea Williams here with Core Solutions Group. We are a tax accounting and cash management firm designed around legalpreneurs, the legal industry, law business owners. We help law business owners get financial clarity and get an idea around their numbers and also shift their perspective to a more proactive strategy when it comes to their law businesses. Today, however, I want to hop on and address the situation that we find ourselves in as a nation, as a world, really, and talk about some of the things that I'm noticing around it that have to do with the financial situation and help you as a business owner put all of this into perspective and have a mindset that's going to get you through what you might be facing right now. So, and we're in this together. We are all in this together. There are a lot of legal groups that I'm a part of that you can search up, talk to other law firm owners, bounce ideas off of each other, see what other people are doing that's working to get them through this time. Network with like-minded legalpreneurs. Keyword there being like-minded. So I'm going to talk a little bit today about mindset and perspective, and then also some financial specific strategies and resources that I know of that could change by the time I get done recording this, that you can take advantage of during this time. So I listened to John C. Maxwell. I've read a lot of his books. He is putting on a Facebook Live. He did one yesterday. He's doing one today. I believe he's doing one tomorrow as well. I'm going to put that resource attached to this post so that you have access to that too. But I was listening to him, and a lot of what I'm going to be talking about is pulled straight from what he was saying, but there's a lot of truth to it. And he really helped put this into perspective for people who are in a leadership role. And I think it's important to point out that the fact that you own a business, that you have a team, whether they be employees, contractors, vendors that you work with, you are in a leadership position. And I think that above most everything else, that's the most important thing to keep in the forefront of your mind as we move through this crisis. So, he pointed out that there are a few different definitions of the word crisis. So let's get some perspective on this. The dictionary says that a crisis is a time of intense difficulty or danger. The medical field refers to a crisis as a turning point, and the Greek define a crisis as a decision. And so I love the way that he wraps them all together, and he says that a crisis is an intense time of difficulty requiring a decision that will create a turning point. And, he really pointed out the fact that, and not to minimize the situation that we're in, again, just to put it into perspective, crises are common. They happen actually quite frequently if you look at the data. This is not the first crisis that we have experienced. There have been thousands. And during a crisis, we tend to take on this mindset which invokes panic of, it's never been this bad. We're going through something that no one has gone through before, but we have to, especially as leaders, as business owners who we have teams and vendors relying on us, we have to make sure that we're keeping this in perspective. Crisis happens all the time. Thousands of them have happened. In 1918, 25 million people was infected with the flu. 25% of the population was infected. In 1981, it is when AIDS became a thing. It took 2 years to identify the virus that caused it. With COVID-19, it was discovered on December 31st, and by January 7th, we identified the virus. And we know how to detect it as of January 13th. In many cases, symptoms don't exist or are mild. And science is working together globally to resolve this and minimize the impact on the world. And I say all of those things to put into perspective when things like this have happened. It took 2 years to identify what was causing AIDS. We did it in a matter of days. So scientifically speaking, we are very fast learning and reacting very quickly to what is going on, which is going to help us address this crisis quicker and get through it quicker. And we will get through it. I think it's important to remember that. The flu at one point was killing 1 million people per week. So this is how we keep these things in perspective, by recognizing throughout history that this is not the first time that this has happened. In 2003, we had SARS. It took over a year to get less information about SARS than we have now on COVID-19. In 2000, it was Y2K. In 2001, it was anthrax. In 2002, the West Nile virus. 2005 was the bird flu. 2006, E. coli. 2008 is when the economy crashed. Tons of people thought that was the end of the world. In 2009, it was the swine flu. 2010, the BP oil disaster. 2012 was the end of the Mayan calendar. The world was supposed to end. Life was supposed to end according to that. In 2013, North Korea was going to, take everybody. In 2015, we had a few things, ISIS being a big one. In 2016, it was Zika. And now we find ourselves in 2020 with COVID-19. So again, I'm not trying to minimize this crisis, just put it into perspective is all. And to say that it has been this bad before and people have survived it. So the key right now is going to be identifying how people overcame these types of things in history. And a lot of that has to do with proactiveness and foresight into the future. And when crises happen, it really brings out who is a good versus an ineffective leader. Are you going to step up to the plate, or are you going to follow the crowd and panic? And I think this is important because you are a business owner, you are a leader. Whether you proactively took that role on or not, you are a leader. Your team is looking up to you. If you freak out, your team is going to fall in line and freak out. If you keep a comprehensive perspective on what is going on, your team is likely to do the same thing. So put your people first, put the safety of your people first, but also, educate yourself as a leader to the facts. So a lot of us are following social media right now, the news. I think we're all well aware of the fact that media does not have people's best interest at heart. The media will feed off of what people are feeding off of because they want the viewing rates. So I would suggest, and John C. Maxwell did the same thing, if you are looking for facts on COVID-19, go to the World Health Organization's website, the CDC. Media is not going to provide accuracy in this situation. So getting accurate information, educating yourself with accurate information is going to help you not feed in with the hysteria. So, think about, in the scope of humankind, what has happened, what we have overcome, and you have to have that knowledge and that hope that this will end, but where are you going to be on the other side of it? Are you going to step up and lead your law business through it? Or are you going to move with the masses and panic and take the mindset of this is the end of the world and take your team and your law business down with you? I want to talk about leadership and what leadership really means. John C. Maxwell has an amazing book on leadership. There are tons of amazing books out there on leadership. Leadership is influence. It means that you are able to influence those around you. You don't even have to own a business to be a leader. You could be leading your family. You could be leading your friends. If you have influence with other people, you are a leader. And leadership is not about you. Leadership is about the people that you are leading. It's about serving them. And John C. Maxwell says, and I fully embrace this, everything rises and falls on leadership. It's about the people. How can you serve, lift, and empower your people? So as a leader in a crisis, it is our job to hold it steady. And like I said before, going through a crisis will reveal the type of leader that you are. Are you giving your people hope, or are you giving your people doubt? One of the things that I've talked about before as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, and now as a leader is the ability to stay flexible, the willingness to pivot. You know, a lot of times we are looking for that endpoint, that pot at the end of the rainbow. Like there's actually a destination. Entrepreneurship, leadership, life is a journey. And you have to learn to enjoy the journey on the way and recognize that it never really truly ends. And so, you know, being flexible and being adaptable to what's going on right now, I genuinely believe is going to set those apart in terms of who thrives and uses this as a lesson going forward, and those who back out and close their doors. So have a plan B, have a plan C, have a plan D. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later, but be flexible. As a leader, leverage your team. Ask for their perspective. 5 heads are better than 1. You know, I really believe that some of the most valuable feedback that you can solicit for your law business is right in your office, right in your team. If you have gotten to the point to where you are delegating work to other people, you no longer see each individual moving piece because you've backed out into a leadership, a management, an oversight role. By asking your team what's going on in their respective positions and taking that feedback and applying it to the client experience, client services, internal processes, how you communicate with your team, that is the most valuable information that you can have to make your law business better in a lot of different ways. So as a leader, it's important for us to be above the crowd, stay above the crowd, be authentic, but do not give in to panic with your team, with your clients. Right now is the time to be educating. So like I said, first you have to properly educate yourself, distinguish what the media is saying versus what the truth really is, seek that knowledge and share it in a controlled way with your team and with your clients. If you have doubts, if you are freaking out, do it behind closed doors. It is our responsibility as leaders to show and be that rock, to be that stable, consistent for our people. We can either lead them into hope or we can lead them into doubt. And you know, as a leader, even though this is a servant position, you have to fill your own cup. If you don't fill your own cup, you have nothing left to give the people that are following you. So take care of yourself, especially right now. Take care of your mind. Take care of your body. We already live, before all of this COVID-19, we already lived in a world where it is more important to manage your mind over all else, because we live in an age of overkill of information while starving for the truth. So it is so important, not even now, but especially now, be careful what you're feeding your mind. Be careful what you're watching. Be careful what you're reading. Make sure you are focusing on information and content that's going to get you where you want to be when this is all said and done. I am also going to put a channel on my YouTube that's going to be called Motivation. These are the motivational videos that I listen to in the morning. There's a few different ones, but I find myself in the morning, I've heard it before, you've probably heard it before, if you can get the first hour of the day, if you can win the first hour of your day, you win the day. You win the first hour and you win the whole day. Start your day out in the right mindset. So I'm going to be putting a channel on my YouTube channel called Motivation. I'll also put a link here in the resources. Feel free to tap into those videos. A lot of them are very short and manageable, so it's easy to listen to while you're brushing your teeth and getting ready for the day or in the car ride. Not many people are going places right now, but just as you're going in the morning, they're very easy to listen to in the background, and they will really get you going and get you in the right mindset to start off the day. So let's move now into talking about money. right now, especially in the legal industry, court dates are being changed to virtual. Some of them are being pushed back 6 to 8 weeks or more. Things are changing financially in this landscape right now. So here's what I want to talk about. Rule of thumb, you should have 3 to 6 months worth of operating expenses stashed away at any given time. If you didn't pre this crisis, make it a priority as soon as you can to get that reserve built and established once you are able to. A line of credit, I talk to a lot of people who, because of their practice areas, can experience a cash shortage before a large cash influx. The solution to that unstable cash flow is to have a line of credit always open that you can dip into at any time. So lines of credits are an option right now. I'm also going to be putting a link to our cash management guide, which you can find on our website. This system physically separates your money into different bank accounts for specific uses. This can help you build that reserve. This can help you set aside the money that you know you're going to need for fixed overhead. And it's also going to prioritize paying yourself a reasonable amount depending on your revenue. I have been reading articles about, I know a lot of you have student loan payments. Call your student loan provider, see if they are able to stop your student loan payments for now, if need be. I have also heard talks of, this has not been finalized yet, of payroll loans for small businesses that may, and don't quote me on this yet because things are changing every day, that may be forgivable. So keep your Google search up for that. We will also post updates if it does go through and it gets anywhere. The SBA has made quite a lot of funds available for small businesses, so contact your SBA department of your bank, go to their website, see what's available. Mortgage payments, banks and credit card companies are very quickly moving to being accommodating of finances right now. So call your credit card companies, call your mortgage companies, and see if they are offering any relief for you right now. I also want to talk about going virtual. So I've spoken with a lot of law firms who are being forced to work remotely. Now we have a lot of clients who were already using that setup pre-COVID-19, but for those that are transitioning now, there are a lot of resources out there, a lot of legal groups. You're free to contact us. We are also a remote firm. And, you know, think about once this thing is done, I believe that a lot of people will actually really like being able to work remotely, and that change will kind of stick coming out of this once all of this phases off. So think about that. I'm also going to share a link to a video that was put on by a CPA out of Texas. He talks about how to maximize your in-home office deduction during these times. While you're working at home, there are benefits to it tax-wise. That video does a really good job of outlining all of that. We can also answer any of your questions, but I will leave that there as well. So, you know, another thing to keep in mind now, money, if you're in a bad financial position now because you were not prepared for this situation, you didn't have those reserves, aside from the loans that they're making available and from the checks that they may be cutting to all of US citizens, while you're going through this, there are very few quick fixes for money, loans excluded. But what you can do is plan better in the future. And so I want to encourage you, while we are in this crisis, while we are feeling it, keep a mind for how you are going to prepare for what's to come when it is all done. A lot of you, your revenue is not disappearing, it's being deferred because court cases are moving back and it's just going to happen further down the road. Plan now for when that influx of work happens so that you don't have a cash or internal process bottleneck. Now is an ideal time to really fine-tune your internal operations so that you can handle what's going to happen, what's going to come, not only in the future, but as soon as this starts fading out and things get back to normal, so that you are prepared for the influx of cases, the influx of work, and come out the other end with better processes and systems than you came into it with. What we have been doing with a lot of our clients is going over all of the expenses. So if you pull up your income statement and you go into your books, or if you don't have a set of books, if you go through your bank account, go through every single line item, cut any expenses that you possibly can to get rid of them for now. What can you minimize? What can you put on hold? What can you cut completely? When we go through this exercise with our clients pre-COVID-19, more often than not, we find unnecessary expenses to begin with. A lot of this comes from software. Software is something that it's very easy to try and get a quick fix for something. So we go out and we buy software. A lot of times when we go through that line item with clients, they'll see charges for software that they just forgot to cancel. So comb through all of your expenses, figure out what you can cut, and figure out what you can put on hold. Additionally, remember I talked about successful leaders, successful businesses have mastered the art of being flexible. We have talked with a lot of attorneys who are pivoting their practice areas right now based on what's going on, and they are moving into practice areas that are going to focus on where the cases are coming in. So money doesn't disappear, it just moves differently. If you need to pivot and add practice areas to your law business right now, go out there and find out where the money is moving, do your research, get prepared, and start catering to the practice areas that are still seeing revenue, and in some cases seeing an increased revenue because of what's going on right now in our world. Marketing, I want to touch a little bit on marketing. So we have a few clients who are minimizing their marketing budget right now, and instead of the getting new client approach, they're focusing on educational content marketing. What does that mean right now? Ask yourself, what are your clients worried about asking themselves but not asking you around their case, around a potential case, maybe people that haven't even worked with you yet? What are they asking themselves right now? For example, let's say you offer a divorce, and your prospects right now, what are they thinking? What if they want to get a divorce, but due to everything going on, they have questions surrounding what that looks like, how that works, what can they do now, what do they have to wait to do? Answer the questions that your prospects and clients are asking themselves right now, or they may not even be asking themselves. What do your clients need to know about the legal system as it applies to them in this economic climate? And they want to hear from you, right? So you get in front of the camera, you get on the microphone, you write that newsletter, and answer those questions around what's happening right now. So let's talk about some lessons now. I am a firm believer that even the worst of circumstances can produce the most valuable lessons that we can get in our life. So because of what's happening right now with COVID-19, with law firms having to go remote and making this shift, what are some of the lessons? So a few of them that I came up with is around the idea of even working remote. Like I said, we work with a lot of clients who have fairly good sized teams, and they are able to work remote effectively and efficiently while keeping the team together and on the same page and have that same connection as an in-office. And they're doing this, keeping their team on the same page and together and motivated by having regular virtual team meetings where they motivate, where they go over the work, where they solicit feedback, and they are making it work. So could you take a lesson from this in moving to a more remote practice? Even if it's not 100% remote, can you reduce your rent? Can you reduce your overhead? There are a lot of benefits to working remotely in that way. being financially prepared. I think this is a huge lesson that people are going to take from this point in time. If you were not financially prepared for this crisis, if you are suffering financially now, take that lesson and plan to not be in this position next time, because there will be a next time, right? We went over all this stuff that happened in history that's almost exactly like what's happening right now. Take that lesson and change your financial picture to be prepared for the next time that this happens. Another thing is, it's really easy to overlook the fact that things are going really well. Like before this, maybe things were running really smooth for you. You had a lot of clients in the pipeline. It was going really well. Now, maybe you're feeling it and you're looking back saying, man, it's that thing, like we didn't know we were in the good old days when we were in the good old days. So, I think this is also an opportunity to be very appreciative of when things are going right, when things are going smooth, and practicing gratitude, and just, appreciating your people, appreciating your clients, and thinking about how can you incorporate that gratitude into your client experience, into your team that you work with. How can you make sure that they know that you appreciate them and everything that they do? Another lesson that I believe is to be had from this crisis is realizing that and being aware of the fact that crises create distraction. So instead of getting distracted and feeding into the worry and the doubt, taking this and turning it into an opportunity. What do I mean by that? Taking lessons. Look at this as an opportunity. I've talked a lot about going remote. Is this an opportunity for you to build a practice around remote services, even if not 100%, maybe just a little bit? Take this downtime as an opportunity to fine-tune your internal processes, your workflow. If you have not done your books, right, get that in order. Tweaking your software, making your reporting more effective. Take this and use it as an opportunity so that you can come out of the other end better than you started with. I think it's really important to recognize the fact that we can't control this climate that we're in, and realizing the difference between what we can't control and what we need to let go of and what we do have control of. So focusing too much on a situation that we cannot control, and instead shifting our focus to how can we make the most out of this right now, start implementing change, learn how to pivot, and what can we do in the future to not be in this situation next time this happens. So I'm also going to include a few different resources for you guys. I'm going to put a link to my YouTube channel, which will have that motivational section for the videos you can listen to each morning to get inspired, to get motivated, to get a start off them to the right foot every morning. Kenneth Hardison had a really good webcast on law firms specifically to help you get remote, to help you plan and go through these times. I'm also going to include a link to John Maxwell's recording of the live event I was telling you that I listened into. Clio has also reported that they are offering financial aid if you meet the requirements. So they have an application on their website that I'm going to include. I'm going to include our cash management guide from our website, the video on the tax tips if you're working from home right now, how you can maximize that in terms of taxes. I do want to confirm that the tax deadline for both filing and payment due date right now is July 15th. So we have a little bit more time to complete our personal and sole member business tax returns. I'm going to put a link for the SBA disaster loans so you can learn more about that and see if you qualify for that. And then I'm going to put a link to Forbes Small Business Relief Tracker. Forbes is one that I follow a lot. They are very good at collecting resources. So this page is a resource page in itself. They're trying to keep up with all the different resources that we have as business owners available to us. So all of those are going to be in this post, linked here so that you have it. And I just want to say again, we are all in this together. It has been this bad before. You as a law business owner, as a business owner, you are in a leadership position, whether you're aware of it or not. Everything rises and falls on leadership. So we have two choices. We can either lead your firm and bring it out of the other end of this, or you can inspire doubt and maybe you won't come out of the other end of this. But the good news is that it is a choice. It is a choice. There are so many good books out there on leadership. There are so many resources, and that's what's going to set you apart. So thank you all for tuning in. Feel free to reach out to me. You can contact us through the website. We are here for anyone who has questions or maybe even needs a little bit of strategy. We are happy to help.